Block elements are the same height as the content contained between their tags, but they span the entire width of their containing element, even if the content itself doesn't. This is why block elements always start on a new line and stack on top of each other. The majority of elements are block level. Some common ones are paragraphs, headings, and sectioning elements such as article and section. The display property can be used to change the default behavior of inline and block level elements using a value of block, inline, or inline block. Let's look at an example. A simple way to check if an element is block or inline is to see how it displays when you add two elements next to each other. Does it start on another line, or does it display on the same line? In this example, we can see that these two divs are block level elements since they display on their own line. The span elements are inline since they line up side by side to each other. Adding a background color to the element can also help make it easier to see what type of display it is. Let's add that in now for both the div and span elements. If the color stretches all the way across the container, it's a block element. If it only spans the width of the actual content, then it's an inline element. Now for block elements, setting the width and height will change the size of the element, but not the display behavior. The elements will still stack on top of each other. For inline elements, adding width and height has no effect. This is where the display property can be used to adjust the default behavior. Adding display block to an inline element will make it display like block elements. Now you can see that the width and height values are being applied, and the elements are also stacked on top of each other, just like block elements. Setting display inline to a block element will give it the characteristics of inline elements. The elements are now displayed on the same line, and the width and height no longer apply. There is one more value that you'll probably use more often, which is inline block. This will apply the characteristics of both. Let's go ahead and add that into the div. I'm going to change this from inline to inline block. I'll add it to the span as well. Now the width and height values will be applied. Just like block elements, but the items are displayed side by side, just like inline elements, and they only wrap when there's no longer any space in the container. This is a good example of separating content from style. You may want your elements to display on a new line or on the same line, but instead of picking an HTML element that looks a particular way, choose the most semantic element for the content and then change the display with CSS. The CSS box model